It is a great day to be alive, and I am so thankful for God, Jesus Christ, who lives in us. In today's video titled Recession News, Market Crash, BTC, and Derived Date, March 9th, what actually happened? I want to take a few minutes to go through what we saw take place on March the 9th. Before I get started, I'm not a financial advisor. Nothing that I'm sharing is financial advice. I'm simply sharing dreams, visions, and interpretations that I feel God has given me as it relates to crypto. Now, let's get into the video. So I shared a dream in a few videos about the XRP and BTC chart and the things that I saw on both sides of this chart. Well, at the bottom here, as you can see, I have dates with question marks about certain things. March the 9th was a topic of BTC drop. March the 2nd was about XRP news. Well, we moved beyond March the 2nd, and I shared in that video, which you see here, titled Dream Confirmation, XRP Crypto Reserve, When God Builds Your Faith. And I shared just how everything transpired on this March 2nd date that was derived, and the XRP news that came out on that particular day, which had to do with the crypto reserves being announced by President Donald Trump, and XRP being one of those coins listed as being a part, as what would be a part of the crypto strategic reserve. And now we want to take a look at the March 9th side as it relates to BTC drop. Will we see a drop in BTC? Before I get into that, for those who may be new to this channel and may not know the ins and outs, or basically the backbone of this channel and what God has set in motion for me to do, and that is to share dreams as He's given it to me with or I should say, for the purpose of sharing what He's given to me as a timeline, a market crash timeline. And so all of this is based on deriving dates, based on what He's given me at the start of all of this. And so what you have here are two dreams. This is where it all began, Dream A and Dream B. And in both of these dreams, one, I saw an actual market crash happening. And in the B dream, I saw a still frame of what I understood to be a market crash. There were numbers given in Dream A. There were colors given in Dream A. There was a date given in Dream B, as well as specific colors given in Dream B, the colors of red and yellow, and the date of October 17th. And all of this together has been an ongoing building of a timeline, an actual timeline that you can see here. And with these timelines, with these patterns that God has shown me, the use of these colors and the use of these numbers and how to put it together has all been given to me by God. Nothing that I could ever put together in a million years. But all these things together brought me to a point of, one, revealing a date for a particular market crash that happened last year, August, I would say 5th/6th, the Japan market crash. And it was because of the dreams that He had given me, the dates that I was supposed to have these dreams on, literally down to the date that, okay, I know I'm supposed to have a dream on this day. That is how God began this, as far as this timeline. Not only did He give me dreams and help me to build this timeline up until the point where this Japan market crash took place, He also gave me a timeline as it relates to war, specifically the Israel war. So if you look at this timeline and this chart that He helped me to derive based on, again, dates, colors, numbers, counting, 40 days, 60 days, all of this brought about major events about the Israel war. And I have those highlighted: October 17th, 2023, April 18th, something with war with Israel in 2024, July 2nd, something about Hezbollah and the attack on Israel, 2024. And then at the very bottom of this chart, which I have to update my chart, I need to take time to do that, you have October 17th again, 2024. And we have the confirmed death of Samwar, which was the mastermind behind what happened on October the 7th. So all of this, again, all of these dates, all of these events, everything you see here on this timeline was derived from these two dreams alone. And if you look closely at the chart, you will see that Dream A I had on August the 17th, and Dream B I had on September 27th, both dreams in 2023. So this has been a long time coming. Not only has these dreams, numbers, and timeline depicted something about the Israel war, as for specific dates, also the Ukraine war. What about the Ukraine war? Again, God has been giving me colors, the colors of yellow and red. And with different dreams comes different types of research. And so, in this is just an example. These two dreams are examples. The banana dream, based on my research, the end results, I was able to see the mascots for the Chiquita banana. One was red and yellow. The other was blue and yellow. Well, blue and yellow, God led me to understand that represents Ukraine. Then in the first market crash dream, I saw pregnancy tests, and they were colored and they were numbered. And the colors of the two pregnancy tests were blue and yellow. Again, God led me to understand that this has something to do with Ukraine. Not only Ukraine, but we're also looking at trade war. Back in June 27th, 2024, God gave me a dream about bananas. Not only did that lead me to understand something about the mascot, seeing the colors of the mascot being red and yellow and blue and yellow, but it also brought me to understand that there was a such thing as a banana war. And this banana war had to do with trade war. It had to do with tariffs. Way back then, God was giving me the message about what we were getting ready to go into now that we're in 2025. I didn't understand it back then. I was just understanding the fact that he's been dealing with me as it relates to war. But I didn't specifically even think back then to look at the idea of trade war and tariffs. And now that is all we're hearing about. And what is that doing? Red and yellow, again, is associated with a crash or a collapse. And we'll get into that in a minute for those who may not know. But all that is connected to some type of drop, fall, collapse in the government, collapse in the stock market. All these things were building up, and I did not realize it until this year when God has given me more of an understanding. This year has been a year of understanding for me. Things that he revealed last year, part of this and part of that, and I may understand this and I may understand that, but this year he's given me a better understanding of what I thought I understood. And finally, this timeline has led me to understand something about Palestine and war. I shared the dream that God gave me about Palestine. And now in the news, we're hearing a lot about Palestine protests. We're hearing about the Gaza Strip and all of the saga going on behind that. And so all of this stuff has been compiling once again. And all of this began with just those two dreams alone. So now that is all out of the way, for those who may be new to this channel, we want to move forward to this BTC side of the chart. Again, this was an XRP BTC dream, and I want to focus on the BTC side. So in this dream, I shared that on this particular side, in this column, I saw October 17th, and I saw 3 red bars or 3 red candles. Because I saw these two things, it reminded me of my 2023 ball pit dream, which was about a market crash. And here I'm showing this picture again, October 17th, and the 3 red lines. And they're almost identical as far as how the candles look falling down. And so this brings me to the second key, looking at the colors of yellow and red, because the October 17th was written in yellow. The candles, of course, were red. And as I turn to my key for October, the second component, yellow and red, as it relates to timeline, a time period, 100 days. That is how this date of March 9th was derived. But for now, just understand that I'm using this key of October, and I'm using what I saw in this dream. I'm looking at these two colors, and now I'm applying the red and yellow 100 days from the date that I had this dream, and I got the date of March the 9th. Then I move on to the third component of this key for October 17th. And the third component looks at a crash or a collapse of some type. So the question is, will we see a crash or a very noticeable drop in BTC on March the 9th? Well, before I get into March the 9th, let's back up a few days to March the 7th. What was taking place? Well, we had the crypto summit. And so on the day that we had the crypto summit, we saw Bitcoin go to a high of $91,000. And then on Saturday, I noticed that it was very, everything was kind of consolidating. Not much movement going on Saturday. So she stated that the House Crypto Summit, after it was live, people began to have mixed reactions. Investors and industry observers, they began to have mixed reactions simply because they wanted to hear more concrete details about Donald Trump's Donald Trump's plan to make America the crypto capital of the world. And so for this reason, which I assume this is why it was just kind of consolidating on Saturday, I figured people needed more detail. People were kind of waiting to see if there was going to be anything more said. And so this brings us to Sunday, March the 9th. On Sunday, March the 9th, there was news that came out as it relates to recession. Donald Trump interview and what he had to say as far as his thoughts about, are we going into a recession? And he said, I hate to predict things. And so based on his wording, it caused the markets to do a thing. And so although I did not see a crash in Bitcoin, I did see a noticeable drop, and that drop went from 86,000 all the way down to under 80,000. Not a crash or a collapse, but there was a noticeable drop in crypto as a whole. So based on this BTC dream and the date that I derived of March the 9th, it brought us to news. It brought us to a noticeable drop in BTC, but it wasn't until the next day that this March 9th news began to really show forth. And what I mean by that is, if we move on to the fourth component of this key of October, the fourth component is a leading factor to a crash or a collapse, because the next day on March the 10th, the news from March 9th that carried over into March 10th, we saw a great fall in the markets. The markets took a hit over recession fears, over what Donald Trump had to say as it related to a recession, when we go into a recession. And so all of this, again, this news that broke on March the 9th, yes, it affected Bitcoin in a noticeable way. Yes, it affected crypto, but it wasn't until the next day that we saw this major drop in the stock market. So again, I'm looking at this date derived, March 9th, this date that was derived from this Bitcoin dream, as a leading indicator to a market crash. Yes, Bitcoin was affected, but it wasn't affected in the way that I thought I would see it on March the 9th. But that portion became a leading factor to a crash. This is why we pray about these type of things, because we don't always know exactly what is going to take place. All we can do is take it in faith, stand on it in faith. Did God deliver something to us on that day? Yes, he delivered to us news, which again, we saw some effects from it on March the 9th, but it wasn't until March the 10th that March news carried over and we saw a major effect in the markets. So a learning experience, something to hold on to, something to pray about more when it comes down to getting to more specifics about it. Maybe God didn't want me to know exactly what he meant by that until March the 10th, until the news came out and that news carried over. But that's why we take these things to the Lord in prayer. And so I hope and pray that it all makes sense, that I did not confuse anyone too much. But that is all that I have for this video. Until the next one, God bless.